one subject that we haven't touched on yet, and it's one that you're supposed to be quite famous for.
You wouldn't mean birds, would you?
I would mean birds. You haven't had anything interesting to tell us about birds?
It's the herring gull. This is the first cousin of the herring gull. They're very friendly birds. They're scavengers. They help to keep our waters clean. They follow ships for the food that sailors or passengers throw. Adult birds are the ones with the white heads and white tails. Takes these gulls about 3 years to get their grown-up suit of clothes. The young ones are brown and mottled. They gather in groups and look each other over, and one male drives off another. But finally, after having considered the matter duly, they begin to pair off. You wouldn't mean birds, would you?
I would mean birds. You haven't had anything interesting to tell us about birds?
Good morning. I have a slight case of the sniffles at the moment. I'm not entirely sure why, but hopefully they don't last for too long. Got a lovely fresh cup of tea. I had another lazy bowl of breakfast this morning. Bowl of cereal for breakfast. Seemed like a morning for a bowl of cereal, unlike yesterday where it was purely just because I was in a rush. Today seemed like a bowl of milk. Milk drink. Liquid was the appeal today, so bowl of cereal again, twice in a row now. I messaged Warlock. Well, not very much notice, so it's half an hour ago. I figure we should probably do a bit of a backup plan. I just don't know what we would move into. I had a couple of ideas, actually. So, one of the things I thought about was Hunter Call of the Wild. Just because it's easy to start up, fall into, and get through a bit of that during the day. The second thing I thought of was Valve released a new game that's free to play. I figured why not? Of course we could go into some of the classics. Wingspan, Skatebird. We never did finish Skatebird. We got up to the roof of the building and then never played it since. We could do another level of Skatebird. That only takes about an hour or two. Suppose it all depends on how long it takes for Warlock to come online and us to switch over to Stardew. Hunter Call of the Wild validated successfully. They have... Here's going to be the deciding factor, I think. Is Finland out yet? Finland is not out yet. I mean, I really want Finland to be out. I really want them to release it. I also... They released an update the other day. It was one of the video updates that they do where they stream the game for a bit and showcase some of the stuff in development. One of the things they're reworking, and I believe the release is planned to be simultaneous to Revon Tuli Coast. I think they're reworking the waterfowl mechanics, which would be amazing because some of those have been a bit I don't know. You basically get one shot at it, and then that's it. If you miss, you have to desperately try and scrape together what scraps you can see from the sky. But if you're hunting for trophies and score, it seems like, well, I suppose you can find... pardon me. You can find lovely waterfowl. Like, they have visual amazing plumes. Feathers and patterns and all that sort of stuff. It's got the same mechanics that do all the random aspect of what an animal looks like. But I should probably look into the VOD and see what they're actually reworking, but it would be nice to have more incentive and a less punishing system for the waterfowl. Especially considering we have a whole DLC dedicated to duck hunting tents. Duck blinds and low to the ground shrubbery and all that sort of stuff. It'd be nice to get more use out of it, to have a day, or to make that a more prominent part of the game, I think would be very nice. Tim, welcome in. We are dawdling a little bit this morning because we're meant to be doing Stardew Valley with Warlock, but I hadn't exactly given him a terrible long notice that I was going live. We're usually on at... pardon me. We're usually on for Stardew on Mondays at 6 AM Pacific Standard Time. But I was running a slight little bit late. So I messaged at 6 that I would be going live in a couple. But I'm pondering we might just have our time better spent if we load up another game and wait, playing something else. How have you been, Tim? How are you this morning? Oh, speaking of, you've got a number 2 next to you now. Sadly, I wasn't able to bet, or I would have definitely inflated the price back on that. We should test. We should test. Let's do a prediction.
During the nesting period, great numbers congregate on certain isolated islands. This island alone, more than 6,000 come annually. Some trick of nature, it appears that a perfectly good goose forced to wear a long beak sporting a fish net.
I set it up for 5 minutes. Streamer can't predict. Right, it's actually grayed out. If I'd read that first, it would have saved a lot of trouble. Because that was the thing. Well, that was what I wanted to look into, was whether or not I could inflate the prize pool. Like, I think it'd be great if streamers could donate an initial prize pool. If I put up a prediction and say the initial prize pool is 5,000 and then people bet on top of that, it makes it a bit more of a for profit, for fun kind of thing.
But soon these young will reach adulthood and like their parents.
You're good? I'm glad to hear. I'm pondering what game we switch over to. Crash Bandicoot will take a handful of hours. We could drop into Hunter pretty seamlessly for any amount of time. That one's pretty plug and play. Follow me. And I also have Aperture Desktop installing. I don't know how long that's going to take. $28K or no. I suppose that's a safe bet, isn't it? Ah, I actually have to get rid of that. That's overdue now. I think the poll closed yesterday. Ironically, the link had a 502 error, so it wasn't exactly helpful. Can I log in from my phone? Please pick your answer and delete it because you put all your points in as meme. Well, you did pick the correct answer, to be fair. I cannot bet on my own prediction, so that's a freebie, that one, but unfortunately with a one-to-one payout. The irony being that if I was... the irony being, if I could bet anything on yes, then, well, I'd get the inflated payout, but no. We'll just undo this one. We'll see if I can't log into Stream Elements on my phone and get rid of that timer, because that one is, I think, officially complete, that poll. What did someone say? The other day, I think it was, might have been Azard mentioned. Apparently Blurb is a bit scuffed. I've not looked into Blurb any more than just the possibility of having more channel point redemptions. There's technically nothing wrong with stream sound alerts, except for the fact I can only have 5 sound alerts redeemable through channel points. So if I want more than 5 channel point sound redemptions, I mean, I've got 3 locked, 1 under Hydrate. Actually, no. Criminal Scum isn't locked. That one's just kind of a for fun. What's the other? What we've got? Hydrate, Criminal Scum, the 2 Valheim joke alerts. The other one. Demand attention. There you go. Demand attention is a sound alert. I kind of want to keep demand attention, but we have 3 we can change out then. Sound alert, Criminal Scum, Fishy Fishy, in the trees they move. Because Hydrate is definitely staying. Ooh, did my phone log into Stream Elements? It's just gone to a white page. Oh, it refreshed. Oh, I'm in. Beautiful. Timers. Turn off vote. I need to rethink the board moments. I might just re-enable it, just to annoy me into fixing it properly. And there was something else I had to do on here. Save that for later though. No, I was not able to bet on my own prediction. There's a moment of finger over the button. Every time I'm put in a situation where my finger is over the button, I get terribly worried about just pressing the go. Hey, Warlock's starting up. Alrighty. We've successfully dawdled. I did press the right one, right? Finger over the button, just... Yes, you better know. Good. Alright, well... Warlock should be here in a few minutes, so... Let's jump into Stardew Valley. We'll save up at your desk job, it's at 50% now. I also have a demo. It's one of those things that's definitely like a 16 up rating, I think. But I don't see a rating on the store page, that's the thing. It's just a bit of, I suppose, dark humor. It's called Ravenous Devils. I have the demo to it. I know apparently Twitch's rules are you're not allowed to stream anything that is rated adults only, or that is on the special list of games that are not adults only but aren't allowed to be streamed. So when you get stuff like that that's very clearly like I would say mature 16 plus or whatever the rating is, like you get that teen and then you get that mature rating, it's definitely in that category, and I'm at the point where it's like, do I stream it or can I get in trouble for that? If it was the other choice, I would have fought quick without saving. Understandable. Because I don't think I can actually give those points away, can I? There's no give point mechanic for the channel points, to my understanding. I can give you pity points through the Stream Elements has the loyalty system. It would be nice if I think broadcasters got a bit more control over their own economy, but it is what it is. I suppose locking the economy down does give it a definitive value, and the only influence I can have over the channel point system is the price of the product. But just simple things like give points or like a manual refund system would be nice. Hey lady, welcome in. I think Warlock's on his way at the moment. He just said he's booting up the computer. Speaking of, where's Stardew Valley? OBS is already having a hissy fit and going... Ugh. With that? Honestly, I've sat here and done nothing. If OBS is already going to have a hissy fit, I might just restart it. I'll leave it for now because I'm not sure if it's entirely because I'm downloading Aperture Desktop. There's a decent possibility it is, even though I've capped the download limit. It doesn't seem like OBS is fond of sharing sometimes. But OBS Desktop. Aperture Desktop. There's only 3 gigabytes to download, so it should be over pretty soon, even though I've capped the download limit. How am I today? I'm doing fairly well. I've not been up very long. Awkwardly, slept in a little bit this morning, ready for Stardew today, but only late by an hour, I think, at this point. We've penciled in we're meant to be starting at 6 in the morning, but I woke up at about 1:45. And I messaged Warlock at 6 saying I'm going to be starting up soon, so bit of a rush start. And I'm suffering a little bit for it. I've had a bit of the sniffles since waking up, but I'm going to drop the download speed. I'm not going to need it in the next 10 minutes. It can go down. I might even drop it to 512. 512. But I think it's one of those things. I forget what they call it, but it's something like line clarity or noise is another way I think I've heard it described. I think it is just the amount of data being transferred is what's interfering with OBS at the moment, not the speed at which it's being transferred. OBS could have all the bandwidth in the world, and I'm not sure it would be happy at the moment. Because it normally does have all the bandwidth in the world, to be fair. It does seem a little happier at the moment, at least. What's fascinating is OBS should be using the upload. Steam should be using the download. They shouldn't... But, well, again, when dealing with physical cables, though, there's only a certain amount of traffic they can handle, period. My internet service provider says it's capable of about 10 times what I'm getting at the moment, but I'm not paying for the service. I'm paying for bare minimum because I live alone. The way I viewed it is I would rather download permanently non-stop for a week than have the speed to download everything I wanted in a single day. If the trade-off was that the permanent download that took a week had no internet cap. It's a very poor way of phrasing. I'd rather have no limit on how much I can download if it is a bit slower. So I got the unlimited data cap. Good tea and hot coffee and I'll be fine. I've actually just finished off my cup of tea, but I tell you what, it might be a good segue to go get another fresh cup. I wouldn't mind. I bought a fresh packet of this absolutely gorgeous... What's it called? It's vanilla, honey, and chamomile, I think. But it's an absolutely amazing blend, especially for something from Lipton. I'm normally not a big Lipton fan. But this vanilla, chamomile, and honey blend is such a nice flavor. What I'm actually thinking of making at the moment, though, is a citrus honey sip. Just a bit of lime juice, teaspoon of honey, and boiling water, because that will clear the sinuses out for sure. Probably better to do that sooner than later, but I am nursing. I also grabbed a coffee. I did. I'm one of those weird people that'll grab a cup of tea and a cup of coffee. Not in the same mug. Not that crazy, but currently nursing the cup of coffee still, so I should at least finish that off before we run off to go get anything else. Speaking of coffee, I change my coffee brands. I just buy whatever's cheapest, whatever's most popular, everyone has it. I forget the brand, it's not... Is it Nescafe? What's the brand? I think Nestle own it or something, but I usually just buy whatever everyone else has. It's reasonably cheap, it's instant mix, just add water. But I think it was 2 days ago, I put a different brand of coffee on my shopping list, Robert Tim's I think it was called. No idea where it came from, but it is an absolutely lovely flavor of coffee. Something I never expected was how much a brewed at home coffee could change based on the coffee granules themselves. Because I just kind of assumed it was all to do with the process. Even when you get lazy baristas or the simple barista will just have... Pardon me. The simple barista will just grind the coffee granules. They lock that little cup in and they push a button. And the water filters through the coffee into the mug. Then they froth the milk and off you go. One of the weirdest things I ever learnt was that with a simple coffee machine, I would call them the fake barista, but it's all the same thing. Well, sort of. It's just that I'm stumbling over my own words, but the barista is a real profession. There are machines that pretend to be that, though, that are not that. They are just over-glorified hot kettles, basically. It's a water kettle. With a milk frother on the side, which is just a hose that puts steam through, so it's just a kettle. The point being, I worked at a cafe that had one of these simple machines, and the only thing I had to do was make sure the temperature of the milk was below 90 degrees or else it would burn. You would froth the milk, you would put the beans in this little tiny spoon, you'd lock the spoon into place and you'd push a button. The thing that I found fascinating working there is that it did not matter what people asked for, they got the same cup and you just made it look different. The only one that was ever actually different was like a flat black. Of course, you don't add milk. And there are like the really strong shots of coffee, which you actually had to do something different for. So if they came in and asked for a macchiato, you actually had to push a different button. Everything else was the same button. You press the cappuccino button, and it's varying different temperatures of milk, varying different amounts of milk. Sometimes you do double shot, which is just pressing the cappuccino button twice. It was interesting working there. Having been such a lover of over-the-counter coffee for years, it was so fascinating being on the other end and realizing, at least some places, all they're doing is pushing a button and making the milk frothy. But, I mean, that frothy milk does go a long way. And that has been the thing I usually thought was the missing element when you make coffee at home. The coffee just tastes flat and blur because you're just adding water and flat milk. But I bought this brand of coffee and that completely changed my perception. Because this coffee tastes amazing. It's actually so much closer to what I get over the counter, it's not even funny. The difference was it didn't say instant mix, and I thought I was going to be getting granulated coffee that would just sit at the bottom of the cup. I thought I might have had to get some bags to put it in to brew, but I just tried it, threw it in the cup, added the water, added the milk, and it turned out fine. It does dissolve, which is what I was looking for, but the difference in what I get out of this different brand is amazing. I do desperately need that lemon lime sip though. The lemon and honey sip, my sinuses are completely clogging up at the moment and I don't know why. It's gone from sniffles to just having a blocked nose. It has made me curious, working at that cafe and seeing the other side of the coffee machine. Like, as a customer, you go in and you hear all the same noises, right? When they use the steam hose, it froths up the milk. You hear the coffee machine grinding beans. It has all the same sounds. But it really has made me curious. If I ever actually saw the I mean, maybe I could find a a YouTube video. Maybe I could try and find like one of those weird early 2000s, this is how you work at Starbucks, where they actually teach you how to properly make all these different coffees. I'm sure Starbucks would have a proper machine, right? That would make sense. A business entirely centered around making coffee wouldn't have one of the lazy ones, would they? Well, I suppose, again, that's my curiosity, is what actually is the difference between the quote-unquote, the fancy barista machines that cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and the one where I worked, where apparently it was for rent for, well, they paid $500 and just basically had it on lease. I gotta stop nursing this coffee. I'm gonna take it out with me and I'm gonna boil the kettle. So, bear with me for a few minutes. Warlock should be on by the time I get back too. So, me. Unless he's having some technical issues, because I notice he hasn't started stream yet. But I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna boil this kettle, I'm gonna get myself this lemon honey sip and a fresh cup of tea, and I'll be right back. "30 seconds has never felt longer." I really need to make that switch, or to turn off my background music, I hit a hotkey that enables that song to play. It's there as the Valheim Good Morning song, / when I dock the boat and get off onto land. It's meant to be the, oh, I've stopped sailing, I can play the happy song. But it goes for about 28 seconds. It is the longest 28 seconds when I just want to stop the background. Me, good lord. But it is the longest 28 seconds when all I want to do is stop the background music so I can press my AFK hotkey. I just need to remember to press it earlier as I'm winding up to go on a break. Just hit the hotkey. Turn off background music. But I should be back within 5 minutes. The kettle should already still be pretty boiled because I only got back about 40 minutes ago, so... Oh, don't go anywhere.
subject we haven't touched on yet, and it's one that you're supposed to be quite famous for.
You wouldn't mean birds, would you?
I would mean birds. You haven't had anything interesting to tell us about birds?
No, our harbors, it's the herring gull. This is the first cousin of the herring gull. They're very friendly birds. They're scavengers. They help to keep our waters clean. And they follow ships for the food that the sailors or passengers throw. The adult birds are the ones with the white heads and white tails. Takes these gulls about 3 years to get their grown-up suit of clothes. The young ones are brown and mottled. They gather in groups and look each other over, and one male drives off another. But finally, after having considered the matter duly, they begin to pair off. You wouldn't mean birds, would you?
I would mean birds. You haven't had
Took a little longer than
anything to tell us
expected.
about birds?
Apparently, last time I went and bought some honey, had the option, there was a brand there that wasn't too expensive. It was, I mean, honey is expensive, but this was like mid-tier price honey. And the thing that caught my curiosity was the fact that it had 2 different types, or 3 rather, but I ignored the third. The first type, the one I ignored, was just, I think it was called pure honey, which was what you normally see. It's perfectly crystalline, smooth bronze. Or not crystalline. It's just liquid honey. It's been put through the processor. It's been turned into a liquid. The other one was natural honey, which looked the same, and I'll double check which one I got. But the natural honey had more of it had that crystal sugary look to it. The one I got was organic honey. This is what it piqued my curiosity, and I've still to this day got no idea about the difference. I think on the surface, the biggest difference, and the only thing I could probably contextualize, would be the fact that every iteration from pure honey to natural honey to organic honey, I think it just had less and less process to make the honey. I think organic honey was basically one step off of honeycomb. Natural honey seemed like they got rid of all the chunky lumpy bits, and then pure honey was liquid. the regular honey process you normally find on the shelves. Whichever one I got, it is now turned into solid crystal on the inside of this jar. And this is one of the pet peeves I have with the easy squeeze bottle, is that you cannot get anything out of it the moment it stops being easy squeeze. If you ever have to take the lid off and scrape on the inside of that bottle, because of the way nozzles work, you have a large area that you squeeze and the nozzle is always smaller so that it has that flow. Less pressure required to get any sort of output. That aside, the smaller nozzle usually also means that you end up with a problem where you can't get a spoon or a knife in there to get stuff out. Good morning. Good afternoon? I suppose it'd be good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Well, it's 7:58 in the evening, so it's. But that's like time zone appropriate greeting. Happy time zone appropriate greeting.
Yes.